Hello, you're watching TVP World Talks. I'm Andrzej. On Sunday, the Global Oil Producing Countries Association OPEC Plus is expected to make a major announcement concerning its output policy. It is widely expected that the organization, which had previously tried cutting output to stabilize falling prices, will now boost production in an effort to regain market share. But geopolitical risks are just as important in its decision-making process. How are Trump's current efforts to drive Russia back to the negotiating table through economic pressure likely to influence the global oil market? We have our guest today with us, joining us now to explore this story. Mr. Sikora, welcome to TVP World. Thank you for coming and joining us here today. Now, can we begin by exploring just how much influence does OPEC Plus actually have over the global oil market?
Yeah, so maybe a few numbers. At first, let's say only 12 countries, but they've got over 80% of proven oil reserves. Today, the production is slightly above 30 million barrels per day. To compare, our Polish consumption is less than 1 promille of this, so this is not 1%, yeah? Of course, today the biggest producer alone seems to be the United States, but this is only, let's say, part of this business, because today OPEC Plus as a cartel, they've got, we can say 45–50% of the world consumption as well, so they are huge.
So this is a massive organization, often described as a cartel, but they are not by any means a monopolist, right? So they also need to take into account the existing competition on the market. So can you explain the current dynamics? Because we've already indicated that they were actually trying to influence the prices, but now they have been forced to take a different turn. And the decision that is expected to take place today will be a part of this renewed drive towards, once again, securing their market share. So can you tell us more about how this is going to work?
Yeah, and this is simply very proper information that when we've got information that there's a next meeting just today on Sunday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, markets showed us that the price of the barrel is lowering by 2.5% till, let's say, $60 to $68 per barrel. So it was an expectation even before this today's announcement, having on mind production, having on mind this increasing of the production, expecting increasing of the production of OPEC plus countries. But on the other hand, we can't compare this very openly with the situation 5 years ago, where we got oil war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, and that time President Trump influenced the market as well. On the other hand, we need to underline that there is a very good opportunity for Mr. Trump to influence American economy, having on mind that a lower price for crude oil, it means lower inflation, it means a higher GDP, etc. So from his point of view, especially having on mind the cost of production, where the United States, they've got much more lower costs today than others, it works.
So now, when looking at the situation from a geopolitical standpoint, you've already mentioned the American interests in basically having acceptable prices for consumers. So they want to both use their own impact on the market by adjusting their own output, but also try to influence OPEC Plus. Now, there is also the question of Russia, right? Russia is a member of OPEC Plus, not the original OPEC, but OPEC Plus, definitely. And so, to what extent can actually Russia influence the decisions of the organization, and to what extent can America actually perhaps send some signals to other countries within OPEC Plus that it might be in their best interest not to vote along with Russia. Is there any leverage that the US can exercise here?
We could see such leverages because, for example, of tariffs implemented by the United States, for example, for India. But the truth is that today the huge export of Russian raw materials, especially crude oil, natural gas, flows to Asia, to India. I dare say that 10-15% of our diesel on our market is produced today in India as well. So
but from Russian crude, right?
We can't say so directly, but you are right, of course.
But also there have been, since you've mentioned that, there have been statistics showing that Europe is still buying lots of Russian gas and oil. Not as much as before the war, but still it's a staggering amount, isn't it?
True. And but on the other hand, we can visit our pumping stations, and you can see the prices are expecting and lowering still. So the 6 zloty on the pump is very good for us as well, for our economy.
So when thinking about this, obviously, is that, there are many different dynamics. Like there is a question of the domestic markets and individual countries. But coming back to what Trump wants to achieve, he has imposed tariffs on India for buying Russian crude. India says we're not going to stop. Does this, as well as the fact that OPEC Plus still has a sway over a large part of the market, show that America's ability to influence this market and this sector is limited? Would you even go as far as saying that this is perhaps a sign of a kind of isolationism that America is slowly sliding into?
Yeah, you're right, and I'm thinking, would like to underline that Mr. President Trump is simply focused on the United States, on America. And from his perspective, the oil price lower than $60 per barrel is much better because of internal production, because of internal consumption. From his perspective, every price and increasing of production and every price lower than, as I say, 60 is much better than today. It's very good for American economy, especially for them.
And what would you say about the efforts which are aimed at curbing Russia's ability to finance the war? Does America have any allies within OPEC Plus who could back it up? Or is it the case that, the influence of the US has changed so much? I mean, you've already mentioned Saudi Arabia and the fact that it used to be the case that the US could actually use leverage over this country, a huge oil producer, like the biggest within OPEC Plus. But now, the situation is different, isn't it?
A little bit, but I've tried to give you a few informations, a few numbers because of the statistics. On the other hand, we need to understand the cost of production. And Russia, they've got, we can say, the higher cost that, for example, Saudi Arabia, for example, the United States. This average for Russia is slightly above 60, so they are somewhere on this break-even point.
So we're talking 60 per barrel produced by the oil sector in Russia, and the price now is about 60.
And this is this level they've got, let's say, minimum margin for oil production.
So they have to struggle a lot not to actually sell at a loss, don't they?
But they need money on the other hand. For Saudi, we can say about between 25 till 35. For the America, it means dependence on the states, but they are much lower than 40. So margin is huge, and for Russia, the 60 means that this is breaking point for them.
So Russia would rather have high oil prices, right? They would rather have decisions which would drive these up. Yeah. But as we've already mentioned before, I mean, OPEC Plus was trying to keep the prices up. But these prices wouldn't go up, even though they actually made efforts to make it so. Is it simply because of the demand decline during the pandemic and what happened later, that this demand didn't bounce back? Are there any other factors there too?
climate changes, our consumptions, consumer decisions, etc. At first, we can underline as well energy efficiency. So our production of electricity, chemistry is much more efficient than 20, 25 years before.
So would you say that OPEC plus countries are really forced to change their tactics? Are they trying to diversify, for example, to switch from simply producing oil for the purposes of combustion engines and so forth, to expand like their chemical industries? Because this is not the kind of resource that you can use for only one purpose. It has multiple, in fact, doesn't it?
And this is our observation as well, because we've got huge investment, especially because of nuclear energy there. I'm talking about Gulf, about chemistry, about petrochemistry, and so on. So this is not only raw material production region. They are huge oriented, and they've implemented new technologies there. So you are right. It could be kind of let's say, change of strategy for them as well.
It's probably an interesting dynamic too, because this is a finite resource, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the time being, they are struggling with prices. But on the one hand, they might be fearing that the reserves run low. But if there is a switch to different energy sources, this is still going to be a precious resource as the supplies begin to shrink, because it's still going to be needed for a chemical industry and other uses, right?
Yeah, but my opinion is that Gulf countries and governments, princes there, royal families, they've already understand that they are not only raw material producers. They would like to influence new technology, logistics, for example. So, for example, aviations, yeah. Beautiful influence in this sustainable aviation fuels. They are the biggest producer of such fuels as well. So, yeah, we can say that the world seems to be changed somehow.
A very quick question. Against this background, would you say that Russia is lagging behind in terms of this transition?
Of course, and yeah, I can't see such influence, such technology there. They've got huge problem because of the war.
Andrzej Sikora, expert in the field of energy and natural resources, was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. All the best for you. Thank you.
And I'm Andrzej Sikora. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news, updates and commentary.